Yo, what's up, guys? It's the insane game freak here to bring you Durarara. That's probably to me, Ra. Durarara. Yeah, it was to me, Ross. Durarara. Rah. Fuck it. Episode 12. Last episode, we're done. Unless they animate SH. Alright. So the last episode was almost exactly the way I thought it was gonna be, where most of your characters got the good ending and everyone else just got fucking screwed, or just ignored. The prime candidates for ignoring would be Aoba, Ruri, Kujiri, which I know that's not how you pronounce her name. I apologize. Izaya's sisters, even Kana to an extent. And they kind of just said, "Fuck it, we're gonna address Celty. We'll address pretty much all the Psychic stuff except for Kudri and Verona, Shizuo, Izaya, which are still up in the air situations. It's not even like they're closure. Like if you're talking about closure, there really is no true closure in this episode. There's just like return to normalcy for a little bit." So just to kind of go down the list, I already knew the spoiler of Mikado stepping in and taking the hit for Anri, which in retrospect doesn't seem like makes any sense considering Anri, I'm pretty sure can't be killed that easily with just a simple knife stab. I think. Sai gets kind of confusing because I'm not totally sure how many slashes, like if their physiology is any different or not, but I actually think she probably wouldn't even have taken that hit, to be honest with you, but that's besides the point. I probably would say the best resolutions are probably Celty and Shinra's, and probably the second best would be Mikado, Anri's, and Masaomi's. Celty and Shinra specifically, because Celty and Shinra's is pretty much the ending I expected, although I feel like there's more that didn't need to be there. For example, I thought some of the best lines were Shinra pretty much knowing exactly what Celty was doing. It was even funny as hell because in the same scene she acknowledges Mikado and Seiji by name, she doesn't acknowledge Shinra, which just tells me that what Shinra was saying was true, which is that, because Shinra was pretty much saying what she was thinking, which was, oh well, I caused all these problems, if I just leave, then then everything will probably go back to normal. And Shinra already knew that's what she was doing. She was being nice as hell. She remembers everything, and she's intentionally pretending like she doesn't, even though her horse has obviously been like, yeah, you want to stay. And she's already openly admitted that she wanted to stay, especially later on in that scene. The part where I think it's too much is that I knew Shizuo, I like the promise relation correlating and him throwing Shinra in the air. I thought all he really needed to do was to make it seem like he was about to die to get her to cut the facade, which is all he did originally. To me, that was the main thing, is that she kept trying to hold this facade that everybody knew was bullshit. So, stop the facades and put yourself in danger. And then they went the extra mile with having him separate her head and her body again, which, granted, is not like Celty would be mad, considering Celty had no interest in getting her head anyway. And we later learn in the episode that pretty much is implied that Celty remembers everything regardless. So at the end of the day, it's just kind of like, what was the point of having him slice her head off? Especially because it still ended up in Nebula. I mean, I feel like nothing really changed. I feel like there was no point in him slicing the head off. Like, it didn't add anything. It just seemed like an extra step to me personally, but because I don't know, and that really brought the question: was that flashback sequence that we saw as he cut off her head? Was that her supposedly remembering everything, even though it was obviously implied that she already remembered everything? I don't know. But it is the nicer of the endings, and I like how it pretty much ends with those two cuddling on the bike. I think that's the first time he's ridden on the bike with her in public. And of course, our favorite cop, is chasing them down. It's great. Then we get to the Mikado, Anri, and Masaomi situation. Celty stopping him from shooting himself. And just realizing that really what it boils down to is that Mikado has a thrill-seeking issue. I think he loves the unknown. And I've already said this in previous episodes, so I'm not going to go again into it more and more. His resolution is exactly the way I was spoiled. I was spoiled, and I knew that he was eventually everything that was going to happen to him. So I knew he was going to get stabbed, and I knew he was going to wake up in the hospital. From what I understand, they changed a few things. Like, for example, the conversation Aoba has with Akabayashi, that's different. From what I heard in the light novel, he has that conversation with Anri Masaomi, assuring them that he's not going to be doing the stupid shit again. Although I like Akabayashi's version better because it's that protective uncle. Like, that's what Akabayashi feels like towards Anri. A protective Anri, a protective uncle of Anri, who's like a fucking badass. Because Akabayashi's like one of the favorites in terms of new characters. There is, and then we pretty much get a pseudo confession from Anri that she is in love with Mikado. It's just, and she's probably been the most developed out of the three of them. She's changed the most, probably right next to Mikado. Although Mikado's change is more of him kind of realizing his true self, whereas it's Anri, it was more so her accepting the fact that she is human and that she has value to someone and to herself. But then, and speaking of Aoba from earlier, that kind of gets into the biggest issue that it's like I said before, this episode suffers the most from not developing the characters, some of these characters. Kudri shit, for the most part, is still, like, very confusing and very not fully explained. Like, it's... Especially, the Rui scene didn't even make sense to me, because my first question is, where the fuck is Yuhei? 2, who the fuck thought Adabayashi was still fine, and why? It almost feels like a fucking filler scene to me, which I wouldn't be surprised if it is. The interaction Kudri has with Rui, considering that's her niece, and her reasoning for doing her the favor of dealing with her stalker, and all this other shit. And then, like, Aoba as a character to me. Because to me, it's like, you introduced Rui at the beginning of Season 2, and then, like, didn't do anything with her past the first part of Season 2. I mean, you did a little bit in the second part, but mainly she was irrelevant for the latter half of Season 2. Kudri, it's almost the damn exact opposite. She was introduced, I think, in Part 1 of Season 2, but really had no real intrinsic value until, like, the end of Season 2, Part 2, and the rest of the series. And even then, her fucking characterization is all over the goddamn place. Like, it almost makes her jealousy thing when she says towards Shinra in the last episode feel like it's a quirk in this episode than an actual, like, reasoning. Because she says this to two characters. I don't fucking get it. Aoba is the same damn thing. He's more consistently used throughout the season, but, like, there's really no characterization to him other than he has an issue with Izaya. He's not on friendly terms with his brother. It feels like the Urahara sisters have touched him in some way, although it was off screen, so we never fucking saw it. And he still has plans. But here's the thing. The only overall goal I knew he had is his animosity towards Izaya, which really, at the end of it all, didn't even seem to fucking mean anything. Also, not the happiest about how the fucking Shizuo and Izaya confrontation ended. Because I feel like there was no real resolution. And it was as straightforward as I thought it would be. Is that he was going to just straight up kill Izaya. Now, if this leads into Verona's whole thing with him, making him go, fuck it, I wouldn't mind that. That wouldn't bother me. But once again, this is the last episode, so that's all thrown up in the air for the future of possible SH-related material. I feel like I may or may not get interrupted. I'm totally sure. And actually, speaking of Izaya's sisters, what the fuck was their purpose? It was like they were shown in the OVA of Season 1, and then, like, their existence in Season 2 has been kind of just background characters. Now, I mean, granted, we've gotten good characterization for Izaya and Shizuo and Shinra, and even Celty this entirety of this season. And there have been good shit in the season, but this ending it's not like a completely satisfying ending. It's just kind of a okay ending. It kind of touches on the characters you probably give a fuck about the most, but the problem is it barely resolves. Most of the issues aren't even really truly resolved, except for maybe the Saika situation, which didn't even become a situation until like the latter half of season, at the end of the latter half of this fucking part. Although I will say the most satisfying thing, which wasn't that satisfying in all honesty, was the Haruna and Takashi ending. And it's only because Takashi wasn't what I would consider such a major dick, which nor was anyone really in this series except for a few characters, to where his ending with Haruna seems almost unnecessarily cruel. Like, yeah, he's a dick, but oh my god, leaving him in the hands of Haruna is just like unnecessarily cruel to me. It feels unnecessarily rough for no goddamn reason. But hey, man, that's just me personally. Although I will say the stabbing scene with him stabbing Mikado was way more gruesome than I thought it would be. It wasn't like a simple shank like it is in other series, where like he shanks him, you see the blood fall, and then he falls over, and then the screen cuts to black. No, this nigga stabbed him like fucking 4 damn times. And I'm like, oh my god, oh, like this seemed a little bit rougher than what I thought it would be. That's just me though. I don't know if anyone else got that feeling. Verona going home to her father. That's like really, and then the Izaya ending, which is Mr. Kind saving him, which, by the way, it almost implied, and then the girl who's been an issue for a while, actually, since almost the beginning of the series, it's just kind of like, it's almost like we got like random shippings within like the ending without actually making them official. Because Durarara loves to do things in a very unintelligible way. For example, like, Verona and Shizuo is obviously a thing. It's just not like an official thing. Same thing with like Izaya and this girl. It's not like a fucking thing, but it is kind of a thing. Also, who the fuck is Mr. Kind? Oh, and yeah, Haruna's dad gets a text message. And, by the way, where the fuck was Yuhei, Shizuo's brother, when he's supposed to be, like, with Ruri? It just feels like, there's just aspects of this ending where I'm just like, alright. Like, nothing's, like, so borderline offensive where it just pisses me off, except for maybe the Kujiri stuff, because that character really confuses me. But it's just kind of like, it's like, now I know why there's a Durarara SH, because half of this shit does not fucking link up. I don't know. I'll probably talk about, this is just me kind of getting my thoughts and frustrations out. It's not a terrible ending. I don't think it's absolutely terrible. It's just it's just kind of almost an expected ending. The way the season has been building up, it's like, this is probably the best they could do, except for a few things, but this is like the best they could do. Shut up, phone. But it's still disappointing, because I kind of, for a series I've been following for what, I don't know how long, it's just kind of like, man, it took almost 2 years to finish the fucking second season. I mean, God. And good luck buying this shit. But I think I'm content with this ending as an overall product. Like, I don't feel like the ending doesn't ruin the anime to me. It's just fine. It's okay. It's exactly like, and as someone who's been following the episodes, like, I figured this was gonna happen, because either they were gonna do it this way, or they were gonna try to do real conclusions for everybody, and they not fucking work. Although it feels like I feel like it's almost the crux of Durarara in itself. The more things change, the more things stay the same. Seiji's still obsessed with her head. Mika's still obsessed with Seiji. Namine's still obsessed with Seiji. Mikado and Anri and Masaomi are still friends. Celty and Shinra are still together, like they've been since the beginning of the series. Shizuo is still a strong monster. Izaya is still a conniving bastard, And maybe that's the point. That, weird shit will always be, weird shit turns into normal shit the longer you're exposed to it. So if anything, you would just say, it's just fucking Durarara. 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 Fuck it. I ruined the punchline, it's fine. So please leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section below. Listen to the Sun Game Freak. Loves the game, play to win. And here's looking forward to next weekend when we get JoJo, My Hero Academia, Phoenix motherfucking Wright, yo. It's gonna be a good time. Gonna be a good time. Thank you guys for following me on this long trip. For those who are still watching. And look forward to a Durarara Season 2 review in the future. I'll catch you guys later. Peace out. Peace out.